I come before you today in various capacities. First, as an American citizen who is alarmed at the power the federal government is claiming under this HHS mandate. Second, as a proud Catholic who is appalled at what this mandate calls for and what it would entail for the Church and for all people who value liberty of conscience. Third, as an elected official who as a leader has a duty to come before you and speak out about something I believe is a danger to the public, even though there are those who will say I have no business being here today, and despite the fact that I may get crucified in the press this weekend for being here. Even so, here I am, and here you are. Conscience is a judgment of reason whereby we recognize the morality of an act. It's the voice that speaks to us all, urging us to do good and avoid evil. And all that we do, we are obliged to follow faithfully what we know to be just and right. This is true not just for religious people, but for all people. Man has the right to act in conscience and in freedom so as to personally make moral decisions. He must not be forced to act contrary to his conscience, nor must he be prevented from acting according to his conscience, especially in religious matters, where one discerns the voice of God in their heart according to their own capacity. The government cannot and should not endeavor to coerce the conscience of any citizen, and yet it does. Never before has the federal government forced religious institutions to engage in behavior or spend their money on policies those institutions consider sinful or scandalous. In doing so, the federal government has put Catholics in the compromising position of having to choose between obeying the laws of the land or the teaching of the Church, between being law-abiding citizens or good Catholics. The founders never intended that citizens should be put into this kind of dilemma. One example, and there are many, in 1809, Thomas Jefferson wrote, "No provision of our Constitution ought to be dearer to man than that which protects the rights of conscience against the enterprise of civil authority." And this is why religious liberty is one of the first rights enumerated in the Bill of Rights. When faced with the outcry from Catholics across the nation, the Obama administration agreed to give Catholic organizations an extension until summer of 2013 to come into compliance with this mandate. In other words, as Bishop Timothy Dolan has said, we are given 1 year to figure out how to violate our conscience. Mr. President, I do not think we need 1 year to figure this out. Whether we had 1 year, 1 decade, or 1 moment, the answer would be the same. We must obey God rather than men.
Amen.
But ultimately, this is not a religious question. This is a political question. It's a question of whether or not the United States government can compel religious institutions to do things their religion teaches to be wrong. In this case, it happens to be the Catholic Church. But this isn't a problem for Catholics. This isn't just a Catholic issue. It could be anyone. Once the precedent is established that individuals must choose obedience to the government over fidelity to their religious convictions, there's no telling where things can go. But we do know from history that attempts by authorities to compel people to act in defiance of their religious convictions usually go terribly awry. So, let us not grow weary in doing good, remembering that even as we contend for our rights as Americans, we must do so in charity and humility. And remember that even if we lose here, even if we face momentary setbacks, we ought not to be discouraged. The battle is not over. As long as the sun is in the sky and breath in our lungs, we always have the opportunity to do good, avoid evil, and work for change, in ourselves first, and in society at large. Though this is an issue that affects all Americans who value liberty of conscience, I want to conclude with a few observations about the Catholic angle of this specifically. Many have been the enemies of the Catholic Church throughout the centuries. Many tyrants have raised their fist and vowed to bring the church into subservience. And yet, where are they now? Where are the Roman emperors today? The Neros and Diocletians and all the infamous persecutors of old? Where is Napoleon and Bismarck, both of whom mocked the church as an institution for weaklings and the superstitious? Indeed, where are the scoffers of history? They are long gone, and their kingdoms and their pomp have all perished with them. But the church endures and will endure. It has endured the fury of the Roman emperors and triumphed. It will endure and triumph over the HHS mandate. My friends, I urge you to continue to oppose this mandate with all your strength. We oppose this as Catholics, yes, but we oppose it on behalf of all Americans. Protestants, Jews, Muslims, any and all who expect the government to protect their right to act in accord with their conscience, not compromise it. And to those who say that we ought to be quiet here, that we ought to stop mixing politics with religion, I say to them, we will gladly stop mixing politics with religion when government stops using politics to decide questions of morality, which by their nature belong to the religious sphere, and cannot now nor ever be made right or wrong by government decree. Bless you all, my friends. Pray for this effort. Pray for me, a sinner. And if you have time after this is over, shop downtown Howell. Thank you.